one of the reasons I think dogs are so amazing is because when I'm sad, you let me be sad, and when I'm angry, you let me be angry. You don't try and change a thing, and it works wonders. Thank you. If you haven't already, you will likely be confronted by someone's high emotion at work. Maybe they're really angry, maybe they're really sad, or super frustrated. A whole range of high emotion situations can happen at work. And even if the emotion is not directed at you, it can still be really hard to be around. But it's important that we learn how to be not so shaken up by high emotion at work, how to keep our center and stay clear-minded, because you will be able to lead so much more effectively if you learn how to be present when someone is very, very emotional. So I want to talk about that and how Aikido relates, to share something with you that might be helpful. As we get into that, think about a time where you have at work or even outside of work been around someone who has exploded in anger or frustration, or they've been really sad, really gripped by grief. Then think about what is your most common response. What is the habit that you tend to go through when faced with emotion? Some of the common things I see in people in my work, because I facilitate, I see a lot of different groups, and I've also done a lot of one-to-one work with people who are in high emotion states. Sometimes people will want to fix it, smooth it over, try and make that first person feel better as soon as possible. Someone might just run away and get themselves out of that room as soon as they can. I've got a meeting, gotta go. Almost acting as like that person wasn't even upset. I'm not judging any of this. This is just, these are just the human reactions that we go through. You might find that you try and bring humor into the situation and try and get that person to laugh because you don't want them to be in pain. So any of these things, they're coming from the best capacities that you have in that moment, in the face of what's happening. So where does Aikido come in here? We often talk about Aikido being working with the energy of whatever's coming at you. So if we think about the emotion as energy in motion, it's moving through that person. If you try to step in and stop that emotion, that's a resistance. And that's really not how we work in Aikido. We're trying to work with the emotion, the energy in some way. So what you can try, and obviously this is very dependent on each circumstance, and if you're a psychologist or a counselor, you're already highly trained, for example, in dealing with emotions. But if for those of you who aren't so comfortable in being around emotion, think about the idea that you don't have to do a single thing except be present. The emotion can move without you having to do a single thing in the first instance. So how do you hold yourself in a grounded way when that is going on? Well, even if it's just you pause for a moment and take a breath before responding to that person. And when I say responding, you might just take a breath, be centered in your hara, feel grounded in your legs, feel your feet on the ground, and then you might say something differently than you would have just by knee-jerk reaction through your habits. So nothing super groundbreaking here, just having a little pause between the emotion and how you might respond. And just to go into some of the things that I've seen happen, I've sat with people who've been inconsolable for good reason. Very, very sad things have happened in their life, for example, or they've been super angry about a situation. And if I just be present and centered and let that happen, I'm there with that person, I'm not trying to change it, I'm not judging them, they, in their own time, it passes and they become ready to talk, for example. And at that point, I might say, what is it that you now need? something really simple to help support them. It doesn't need to be an earth-shattering response. It's just a simple question like that. And what actually often happens, that to me I find, is that people act like I've performed some kind of magic. Jess, what did you do? How come I feel so better all of a sudden? You know, that was so comforting, but I really just was present. So just a nice reminder to us all, have a try at sitting a little longer with the discomfort and seeing how that can help the people around you in your work and in your life more broadly. Domo arigatou gozaimashita.